We don't want it to pass you, okay? All right, first company I want to introduce to you, and one of the things that I was doing, and I'm glad I got some positive response last time, was that I want to introduce you to a little bit about the companies. Some of these companies are big companies, some of them are small. I'll tell you a little bit about the company and the history involved in it, as well as the products that they sell. The ARS Corporation is a Japanese company, and yes, my email went all the way to Japan with a response that I could not read. They have been in production since 1876, and the concept of a lot of the Japanese tools, you know that they've been gardening for years and bonsai and doing that kind of gardening, is that their tools need to be sharp, regardless of what kind of tool it is. The company is, my email went to Japan, which then came back to a company in the United States called Grotech. They're the distributor for the ARS tools. They have been exceptionally good, generous, thank you, with their tools, because we have some of them, we have 3 of them here today, and we have a basket full of them for part 4. But know that their idea is, even in a trowel, it needs to have a sharp edge on it. So different than a lot of other tool manufacturers, that is their concept. The first ones, all right, so let's go through here and do. We've got, I guess the best way, we decided to have a little bit of a work table this time around, so I'm going to have to walk around with my thing. Stay there. Part of what I had said initially was I wanted y'all to be off of the ladder. You know, as much as possible. So the first two that I want to show you is a pole saw, but this one's a little bit different than some of them. The one thing that I like about it is that the blade's straight, because I've got one with a curved blade in it, and it gets in a bind when I try to use it all the time. What's really neat about this one is that it just flips up and it extends to whatever the number. Well, that works cool. All right. And it extends up. It is sharp as all get out, so I wasn't going to take this thing off. Because like I said, that's the one thing about theirs. Their blades also cut on the push and pull. Unlike some saw blades don't all cut in both directions. But it is lightweight. It's aluminum. It doesn't weigh nearly what the one that I have. And I've got one of them with that pull string. I'm not strong enough to pull that string and cut off the little limbs anyway. That's what I really like about this one, is it's lightweight, it moves, it's easy to do, and it's a cool, sharp tool. Their second one is actually a pruner. Let's see if I can get this one through all. Okay. Which Keith said he could have used this weekend because of something that he did. It has a rotating head to it. So if you want to go up here into the tree and you want to cut it, you know, and you need to cut it where it's up close, then you'll be able, I won't do it. You can rotate it around so that you're making the cut properly up against the limb, and you know we don't want to leave the little stubs sticking out. The ones that were in class last week learned that pruning class. We want to try to cut it up close. But let me tell you, their stuff is razor sharp. The next one I'm going to show you, Barbie's got, and she knows that the tool is sharp, and that is something you need to watch and be careful. This also comes in 2 different lengths. This one is, I guess this one's the which one? 6-foot reach. And the pole saw comes in 2 different lengths, but I got the longer one of them when they sent it to me. I don't know why you get the shorter one. You know, you can make it shorter. Why would you not get the long one? But anyway, know that that's the reason the head rotates, is so that you can get it in the right position to cut the way you want to cut. Cool. All right. Now, I'm going to show you their cutting hole. This one, they say, is specifically is a rose pruner. I think you can use it for anything. But the deal with it is it's got what they call cutting hole capability. This little thing here and this little thing here, you got to kind of learn to practice with it. But when you cut something, here's one of the little dollar sticks.
I'll get you some.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're supposed to be able to go out there, cut it, and, all right, so your limb's out there, and your roses are out there, so you go out there and you cut it off, but you hold on to it so that you don't have to stick your hand into the bush or into the thorny bush, and bring it back and put it in the bucket without having to handle it. I cut it down.
Show them how delicate it'll work.
See how I'll try. But and he was talking about even just deheading things if you wanted to use it as a deheading tool. But you gotta do a little bit. You gotta know that not. Although this one's not quite as bad, I think it's the hand pruners. You gotta grip it just right.
Well, the other thing about this piece is this is really good for stuff that's high up and grab it and take it, but if you're actually trying to get in something in kind of a tight spot, because it's got that width on it, you know, you can't go way, way down because that gets in the way for a clean cut, but for pruning, it's really, really good.
And it is a sharp.
It's sharp as a knife.
Yeah, it is sharp.
How do you sharpen, or do you get blade replacements?
You can get blade replacements. He's going to talk about his favorite sharpening tool in a little while. I'm still not good at the sharpening tool, but just know that they make a bunch of different tools. That is one of the things about several of the companies that we'll talk about today. They make, like, they're going to make pruners too. They're going to make hand pruners, but we pick specific tools from each one. If you find out you really like this company, they make all different kinds of loppers and different kinds of hand saws, the little hand saws too. So just know that part of this is just to introduce you to some different companies. But this cut and hold feature I had never seen before until this came, and then we got it in a hand printer as well. You got that? Then you got something. All right. We'll have a file set before it's over with. Now that one, and the one thing I didn't show you, but it does have, it has the ability to rotate as well. So, see, if you put it in the bush, because you got to get this side up against the branch collar in order to prune properly. So you got to get it up there. Well, if this side's on this side, you're going to need to rotate it around and get that side on that side. So that's why it does the little rotating.
But that tool, even for heading, keeping you from having to reach so far into beds and working around beds.
It was really good at climbing rows. It was great for climbers.
I'm going to make a
So
mess.
the
All right, now, the one thing I want you to see when we're doing this, and then I'll be doing it. See the little smiley faces at the bottom? The smiley faces at the bottom indicate that in your packet there's going to be a company that's offering us a discount. After I got them to donate something, then I begged off of them a discount for ordering. Grotech is the distributor, but they do business with a place called Wood Avenue. It's a website called Wood Avenue. You don't need to write it down. Well, it should be in your paper that you have right there. And you're going to have a sheet of paper in here. What it does is, because I wanted to be sure that you would understand each one, like just to give you examples. There's going to be a picture of everything we go over with a flyer that tells you where it's available. So if Wood Avenue is giving us a discount for the next 30 or 45 days or something like that.
But there's not a picture of that pruner with the rotating handle. But we should be able to identify it just by.
It's not on there?
Oh, the little pruner, the longer one.
this one?
Did I
Oh,
not
is that
put
the one on the, maybe it is, the long reach heavy duty pruners?
On the bottom.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
Oh.
maybe so.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
yeah,
Yep.
that's the one I want.
Yep, and so there's like, on here, there's a little thing at the top that tells you, and it gives you the discount code, that they're gonna give you a 10% discount off your order from this day to this day, okay? That's kind of how the packets work. So you don't really have to remember what something looked like after you get home, because it'll be in your package. Now, one of the tools that, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. When I started, I got the contact information for Baco Tools through the man who distributes this. He says, well, I have a friend that has a wonderful company, and you need to meet her. Her name's Joy Ezel. She's down in Florida. Well, I want to tell you, the Baco Tool Company started in Sweden, and it has a huge following in the European market, but has not made as fast an input into our country like Felco and the other high-end hand printers go. But in the